Welcome to Wanted Down Under Revisited. Today we're catching up with the Mason family, who we first met back in 2006, when we gave them the chance to sample the lifestyle in Adelaide, South Australia. Back then, Andy was a self-employed carpenter from Nottingham who wanted a better life for his 3 children.
There's just nothing for them at all, unless they got all the degrees under the sun, and then you're not guaranteed a job at the end of that.
And a less stressed life for him and his wife Jane.
We'd like to get out of the rat race a bit and just have an easier life.
But would they find Australia's all they'd hoped for?
I think hate's a bit of a strong word. I just totally dislike it.
And how would Andy handle working for someone else again?
Somebody barking orders at me, I don't think I'd take it very well, because I think I'd be walking back out the door and back to the UK.
Jane was more worried about who they'd have to leave behind.
If we do move out here, the biggest battle I think will be friends.
It's the hardest decision the Masons ever had to make.
My overall fear would be it all going totally wrong and not being able to do what we want to do.
We've caught up with the Masons to find out what choice they made. Did they stay in the UK, or did they make the biggest decision of their lives and move where they were wanted down under? Wanted Down Under puts British families to the ultimate test by giving them the chance to try life in Australia. They have just 1 week to find out about homes, work and lifestyle before voting on their future. But what happened next? We caught up with some of our original families to find out where they are now. 3 years ago, the Masons from Nottingham were facing a life-changing decision, whether to stay in the UK or to move to Australia. We gave them a week to experience life down under, but was it all they hoped for? Andy and Jane Mason shared a detached family home in Nottingham with their 3 children, Aidan, then aged 7, Callum 5 and 18-month-old Abby. Andy had always worked as a carpenter and even fitted out his own house extension. He hoped to move to Oz would mean a better balance between work and family.
I'm basically looking for a job where I start early, do a standard 8 hours, when I can sort of spend time with the kids and the rest of it.
We'd like to get out of the rat race and just have a bit easier life, a bit more outdoors.
At the moment we rush around like headless chickens. We're sort of an outgoing family, like to sort of bike rides, all the rest of it, and a bit more time to do that.
Jane and Andy had thought about moving to Australia for several years.
I'd been on every website humanly possible. Found out all the information I possibly could.
Jane led a busy life, but it was her horse that was the main hurdle to making that crucial decision.
Over the years, it has caused a few arguments with regards money for the horses. It's whether you put food on the table or the horse gets fed, and sometimes the horse has got fed instead of I've got fed.
Jane's priorities made it difficult for her to achieve everything she wanted in the UK.
College, work and horses and children just don't go. Andy's always been at the bottom of the pecking order.
For me, personally, I'd like to get rid of horses totally.
Even if Jane took Reggie the horse, the Masons had strong family ties that would have to be broken by a move.
Obviously, with Andy's mum having MS, she has said that she won't come over to Australia.
My mum and dad are, I wouldn't say best pleased with the idea of us moving that far, especially with mum being sort of ill as she is. The travel factor for her wouldn't be an option. I don't think she could do it. But overall, I think everybody's pushing us in the direction of go for it and make a go of it.
Would Australia provide the answer? To help Jane and Andy consider the huge risks they'd be taking, we sent them to Adelaide in South Australia. There were 3 different lifestyle options to choose from. One in the city, one in the country and one on the coast. Each option included a job offer for Andy. South Australia's capital city, Adelaide, boasts a Mediterranean climate and a cosmopolitan lifestyle. Just south of the city is a great place to live, with its mix of modern and traditional architecture. Falcon shopfitters had plenty of work, according to manager Greg Meyer.
We do a multitude of joinery work here, shop fit-outs, office fit-outs, all over the state. So if you like a good lifestyle, great bunch of blokes to work with and fantastic weather, come and join us.
Pay would be around £25,000 a year, and the whole family could enjoy Adelaide's outdoor life, from cycle tracks to boating, all the modern pedestrian shopping malls. So back in 2006, on that type of salary, you could afford a 4 or 5 bedroom house, priced at just under £200,000, and that included a pool, as the new potential boss explains.
Welcome to my backyard. As you can see, a lot more room here than the UK, lots of room for the kids to play games, jump in the pool, and we can have a barbecue. So if you want to come on down, we'll make a day of it.
Option 2 was the coast lifestyle west of Adelaide. Long sandy white shores like Glenelg offer all sorts of activities for the kids, as well as safe swimming. And this shop fitters might have a position for Andy.
Hi Andy, we're the Kelly family.
Hamish Kelly managed the factory.
This is where we make most of the joinery before we bring it out to site. A lot of our clients are service stations and small shops.
Andy could have earned up to £20,000 a year here. Houses tend to be smaller than the city, but are often built of attractive red brick. They won't always have a pool, but you're only minutes drive from the Southern Ocean. So in 2006, this salary would give you a great combination of comfortable living and a beach on your doorstep. But you'd have to know your stuff. These guys only use the top technical equipment.
This is a very important tool right here. This is our table tennis table for Friday night. That's my favourite tool to work on.
Come on Andy, can't wait to see you. You're going to love it here.
The final option was in the countryside, where you can get plenty of house for your money. More than 70% of South Australians live in or around Adelaide and enjoy a high standard of living and great scenery. There was a job in the Adelaide Hills for Andy at this shop fitting firm.
We're a small family business with about $1 million turnover a year, and we would dearly love to have you come and spend a day with us. We're a very close knit community in our company itself. It's all a family business. We all live only about 5 minutes away.
Andy would earn about £20,000 a year here, and back in 2006, £200,000 would buy a substantial property. They're normally single-storey with a good-sized garden. There's a real sense of community, and it really is possible to walk to work. The rural Adelaide Hills offer a lush contrast to the city and coast lifestyles, and on this annual salary, the Masons could have afforded plenty of space.
So Andy, what more could you possibly ask for? A great place to work and a great place to be.
The Masons tried out the coastal lifestyle for their week in South Australia. With its nearby beaches for the kids and friendly carpentry firm for Andy, it looked ideal. But did they find what they were looking for on the other side of the world? Did the family's trial week down under reassure them they could have found a new life? Or were their plans dashed? After more than a day of flights and airports, the Masons made it to Adelaide, jet-lagged but excited.
It's been a long trip.
29 hours. A long time with 3 kids.
Andy was already thinking about his job.
The best thing to happen this week would be for me to land the job that I'm looking for. If it doesn't work out, I'll move on to plan B, which will basically be send Jane out to work and she can keep me for the next umpteen years.
If they decided to move, it was crucial Andy and Jane agreed on everything that week. First up was a close inspection of their rental accommodation. It was their first chance to sample an Aussie property.
Is this as big as your bedroom at home?
Too small.
It's very nice. The decor's interesting, I've got to admit.
Let's go look at the garden. It's quite nice, yeah.
So they liked where they were staying, but the next day was the difficult task of agreeing on the kind of property they might purchase in Australia. In the UK, Jane and Andy had a 4-bedroom detached house in Nottingham with lots of space for the children. If they sold it after paying off their mortgage, they'd have about £160,000 to spend. So we chose 3 homes that would show the Masons what they could afford if they moved here. While the children were looked after, Jane and Andy got down to some serious house hunting.
We've worked hard to get where we are in the UK, and we don't intend to just lose what we've done in the UK if we were to move. So unless we find the right house land package, then we wouldn't move.
If they couldn't find the right type of property, the whole prospect of a move would have proved impossible. So, fingers crossed. First, a brand new family home with a pool for £200,000, so the Masons' finances would already be stretched. There was a lot of open land at the back. Inside, it was immaculate, with 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
Hiya!
Hello.
Fine, thank you.
The owners at the time built the house themselves on an empty plot. They were also from the UK.
Almost every second person has got a British relative here, and they're all so friendly. They all want to get to know you. They'll take you right into their circle of friends, and we've made lots of really good friends here. Lifelong friends we've made here. Kitchen. We've got the in pantry there, family room, and also the rumpus room.
Right.
The rooms were well finished, which would please Andy, who didn't want any more DIY. And it was big enough for each of the children to have their own bedroom.
So whose bedroom's this one?
This is the 5-year-old, 5-year-old daughter.
Spotless again. To teach her some of this.
Just don't look under the beds or in the cupboards. This is the study bit. We also have you can see we fit the double bed, and that's where any guests that come from overseas they can have that room.
Separate bit from you.
There were other advantages to living here. Jane found she had a lot more in common with the owners other than being a Brit.
We've basically been able to do everything that we dreamed of doing. We've got horses and...
You said you've got horses?
Yeah.
Do you keep them at...
I've got a friend who, a friend, at the moment they're adjusted at
Are
friends'
they on
house.
livery?
Yeah, so yeah, they're both there, yeah.
Does it cost them?
$50 a week, which is what, £20?
Yeah.
Which is not a lot.
Jane really had the bit between her teeth, much to Andy's dismay.
Well, we'll leave you two to talk horses then, I think.
At the back of this property, there's a large pool with an added extra bonus.
Is it heated?
Yeah, solar heated pool. We've got solar panels on the roof, and yeah, it is enough. I mean, you find you only need a couple of days of sun, and it heats up really quickly. Yeah.
Round the corner, Jane spotted the land that came with the house. To Andy, it was a garden, but to Jane, it was a paddock for a horse.
And will they ever build? Will they ever build on that?
No. And just over the mound there's a little lake.
Right.
You know, it's great for walking the dogs or whatever.
So what's this on the market at?
It's on the market at $489.
That was about £200,000, so they would have needed a small mortgage on top of their equity.
From the point of view of moving to the UK, moving straight in, yes, it's the sort of property we'd be looking at, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah. I'd prefer to be going for an acreage, just so that I can have my horse. Right, Andy.
However hard Jane tried, she couldn't flog the horse to Andy. Time to place your bets for runner number 2, described by the agent as a Georgian-style residence peacefully positioned over rolling hills. It was cheaper than the first one at around £190,000, but it still had 2 bathrooms and 5 bedrooms.
The bedroom one with the ensuite and walk-in robe. Nice big space in there in the walk-in robe.
Yep.
And no Aussie home is complete without a rumpus room, their version of a playroom.
A lot of people use it just for, games room or whatever you like, really. The newer style homes here in Australia, we have the formal living areas and then the casual living areas, but not a lot of them have the rumpus room as well. Okay. Just an extra entertaining area, and having the sliding doors which lead out to the garden is quite nice as well. Okay, this takes us now through to our formal lounge room here. You notice we've got an open fireplace, which is lovely, creates a nice ambience.
It might have had a fireplace, but it still left them cold. There were big windows, but no view.
For me, looking at the fence, I think it's a bit enclosed.
I've got to say I don't like the view out of that window. Next door's pretty close.
I think it's a nice setup, but it just spoils it having the 2 metal panels each end just to look at and nothing else. Because that's all you're really seeing.
It's quite a big plot, but the house takes up all of the plot.
That's right.
As opposed to going 2 floors.
So what did the Masons honestly think of property number 2?
I think hate's a bit of a strong word. I just totally dislike it. I would have the house we saw earlier over this one.
It's a shame, really, because it's a nice house just boxed in, really.
Oh dear, they better like the last property or they'd have a problem. How about somewhere with a bit more space? If the one before was mock Georgian, this was Tudor. It was pricier at £250,000, but had a pool and its 11-acre plot included dozens of attractive gum trees.
Good afternoon. I'm Wayne from Toot and Toots. Andy and
Jane.
Nice to meet the both of you. Come right through, folks. So just a nice sized room.
Yeah, this is maybe more what we're used to in the UK.
Yes.
So it's completely different than what we've seen so far.
It's got more of a homely feel to it, where you're travelling all that miles and then you're actually stepping back a bit into what you've left. Yeah, it's got a nice feel to it.
Folks, we'll come on through to kitchen dinette area here. It's a very country style, if you like.
It's certainly more what we're after, I've got to admit.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's good.
Maybe more your cup of tea than mine.
Basically, I do all the cooking, so there'll be a sign.
All the cooking, you did most of the cooking.
99.9%, so there'll be a sign hanging from Andy's kitchen.
Today.
Do not enter.
The kitchen did the job for Master Chef Andy, but would the bedrooms match their expectations?
All right, we'll head upstairs, folks, have a look at the bedrooms. Nice size rooms, you've got your built-in robe, so you've got plenty of hanging space and get everything tucked away there and it's not intruding into the room.
Plenty of space for the children. The two-storey style seemed to suit them better.
Yeah, it's a nice view, actually. Yeah, and the hills.
If Jane was thinking nice place to ride, Andy had other ideas.
Could we turn that land into sort of a vineyard or cherries or something like that?
Yeah, sure. Come on through, folks. So here you've got your main bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
A great
Nice
size,
size.
plenty of room here. So a walk-in robe here, which is great again, gets that all out of the way so you don't have got wardrobes hanging around.
My stuff there and there, Andy's stuff
Yes.
there.
So we have to work that out.
Very generous, Jane. Perhaps Andy would be allowed more space outside.
The property is on 11 acres. You know, you could certainly keep a horse here if you're inclined.
Sorry, Andy, I spoke too soon.
It's what I'd say I'm after. I'm not sure Andy would want the same as I do necessarily, because Andy knows that if I get acres, I'll get a horse. Maybe Andy would prefer no acreage.
Because it's a lot of land to manage with 3 kids and 2 jobs to go with it.
They just couldn't seem to agree, but it was vote time already. The first house was okay with Andy, but didn't have enough land for Jane. The second was too enclosed, and Jane was still looking for that large paddock. The last property had the family space on 2 floors and 11 acres of land to ride on. But in the end, did they prefer UK or Australian properties?
If I was going to go Australian or UK properties, then I would go Australian because you get better value for money.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I'm going to vote
No!
UK because I think UK houses are better built and are more homely. So I suppose we're going to have a long-distance relationship.
Well, you can put your slippers by the fire then.
So, after trying out life in Adelaide in 2006, what did the Masons finally decide? Where are they now? They're in Australia. The Masons emigrated 1 year after filming, but they didn't choose Adelaide. They moved to Gympie, a provincial town 2 hours north of Brisbane on the east coast of Australia, and this is where they live. Andy and Jane moved down under in 2007 and have lived here in this house for just over a year.
Hiya, welcome to our house in Australia.
So come on, Andy, spill the beans. How much did it cost?
Eventually, after sort of bartering with a builder, we got him down to 340. Originally started in, was it in 415, I think he came in at. But we got him down to 340, which is good because we've had to spend a bit on it since to put it right.
That was about £155,000 and included their 6 acres of land. But it's not all been a bed of roses.
Maintaining the land, I suppose, is the biggest shock, sort of having it slashed, cutting the grass, especially in sort of summertime. You could spend 6 hours a day on a Saturday just cutting the grass. But yeah, overall, It's pretty good.
And he's even picked up a bit of an accent. So let's have the guided tour, mate.
Righto, this is our kitchen sort of dining area where we spend half of our life entertaining and whatever else. When we first arrived here, there wasn't much of a kitchen. We've sort of extended bits of it to make it into a more workable kitchen as we've gone along.
This is the lounge, next to the kitchen. As you can see, it's just no like telly and chairs.
That's really selling it to us, Jane. Off this open-plan living area are 4 spacious bedrooms.
This is the first bedroom, and this is Abby's bedroom. We had 4 bedrooms in the UK, but we had the typical box bedroom, so she's got a lot more space. Out here, we've got our storage space so that she's got a room and then the storage out here and different bits, so it's quite a nice space for her to be able to play in. Carrying on down the hall, this is where we changed it a bit. This is Callum's bedroom, just a touch bigger than Abby's room, but this is one of the walls where we've been knocking the house about a bit. And this is Aidan's room, most of the time, unless we have visitors, and then it doubles up as our guest bedroom. This one wasn't here originally when we bought the house, and we've put this one in just to make it more suitable for what we wanted, which was 4 beds. Oh, and you've not put your clothes away.
It's fine, it's a living house. If everything was perfect, it wouldn't look right.
No, but your dirty socks are on the bed.
They're clean.
This is our room. The best bit about the room is the veranda. It gets the sun on the morning. It's a nice space.
But yeah, the best part about this is sort of lying in bed and looking out the window at what's out there.
Now you won't get a view like that in Nottingham.
And then we've got our luxury ensuite bathroom. Oh, the bath's about 130 years, the enamel going off the bath.
Different than our ensuite in the UK. And then Andy's built me a nice walk-in wardrobe that...
And it gets finished in sort of winter time, so that's sort of missed out for this section. It might get a bit done on a night.
Yeah. It's not bad actually. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I have tried to shove everything in behind it.
But the house isn't quite the dream home they imagined yet. It's still very much work in progress.
There's a lot of things we're doing with it that will change it, sort of put the swimming pool in and things like that. Eventually.
Changes to the house only happen in winter time. Yeah. In summer it's too hot and we spend 90% of the time on the beach and doing outdoor things, so building projects are no longer on the cards in summertime, which is pretty good for me. So it gets worked on probably 3 months of the year, then left to stand. So what doesn't get done stays like that till the next year. Unless we get some really rainy weather, then we might do a bit to it.
And there's something missing from outside too.
And this is why we bought the house, because we've got 6 acres. As you can see, we have nice views, nice weather for saying we're in the middle of winter. Couldn't really want any more, enough for the kids to ride the bikes.
Jane may have made the move, but she's lost something she loved.
We've got no horses yet, and I can't see us having any for at least another year or 2 until we've got sort of the house sorted as to where we want it. A couple of things that had come in before the horse, which would be the swimming pool, an extension, the shed. So once they're all sorted and we've done all those, then maybe I'll get a horse. I do miss the horses, and part of the reason we're having acreage is that if I ever had a horse, I can have it on my own land and I can actually physically look after it without having to drive an hour.
There's still a long way to go for the Masons. With the house half finished and no horse for Jane, have they made the right choice after all? Back in 2006, the Masons had a lot to think about. Although they have since moved to Oz, it was a difficult decision and one they may yet choose to reverse. How did they cope when hearing the thoughts of family and friends back home?
Dad, you got tears in your eyes.
What started off as a tough decision was only getting tougher. Back then, one of Andy's biggest considerations was the kind of work he would get in Oz. We set him up with some work experience to see how it compared to his job in the UK. He enjoyed being his own boss, but if the family moved down under, he'd have to start out working for somebody else.
Back in the UK, I've got a free run of everything for what I do. Here, I'm going to be tied, I think, to a bench, and I don't think I'll like that at all.
Would Andy still move if he hated working for someone else?
After 10 years of doing it for myself and making my own decisions, somebody barking orders at me, I think I'd be walking back out the door within 10 minutes of getting in there if somebody said the wrong thing. So if today doesn't go well, then obviously for me to stay out here would be a no-no. I'd be back on the plane with Jane and the kids and back to the UK.
So the whole move rested on Andy getting on with an employer like Hamish.
G'day, Andy.
Hi, Hamish.
How are you?
Andy had to assemble flat-pack cupboards like the DIY ones from home improvement centres.
This is our joinery section of the whole shop fitting process. Let's get you started with a couple of things.
OK, thank you. But we'll have a go at it and hopefully it'll turn out all right. It might be upside down, we never know. I need a tape measure. You haven't got a spare tape measure and a pencil I could borrow for a minute, have you? Feel like a proper chippy now. Right, here goes my first attempt at nailing a piece of chipboard with an Aussie nail gun. Beware, everybody.
Very impressive, but Andy wasn't happy not using all his skills.
I feel like I'm on a production line at the moment. I could be doing this for 8 hours a day, depending on how good you are. It's a bad thing from our point of view, because I'll just be doing roughly the same thing for the day, and that, to me, is not a good thing. I'd like a bit more variety in it. Voila!
Looks really good, Andy. If you want, we'll go out now and show you some of the installation work that we do.
OK.
We'll go out to a Subway store in a close shopping centre.
It's fine, lovely.
OK.
OK, thank you.
And there was more bad news for Andy. While he was at work, Jane was determined to find out more about bringing her horse if they moved. That would cost thousands of pounds and would also mean 9 months quarantine, so Jane took advice from another owner.
So you're considering bringing him over?
Yeah. The only thing that would put me off is the flight.
You know, you wonder about him, don't you? But if you're doing the right thing by him, putting him through all of that.
He's only flown like the 2 hours. I wouldn't necessarily want to put my horse through it.
No. How much is it?
It worked out 5,900.
Oh, is that all?
It would cost nearly £6,000 to back Jane's horse, and we know who was favourite to place that bet.
Andy doesn't think I ought to bring him over.
Oh, why? 'Cause
Andy in the UK is sort of bottom of my pecking order. And he's hoping moving over here, it'll be maybe kids then, Daddy. 18 years we've been together. He met me with 3 horses.
That's
he met me at a
right,
horse show. So my argument is, you met me with horses. You're not going to change what I enjoy doing. I don't stop him going golfing, do I?
Mr. Mason, your wife certainly knew what she wanted. She wasn't the sort to be taken for a ride. Oh, try again.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, well done.
Jane's expensive hobby would rely on Andy bringing home the bucks.
Get your dosh out, Andrew Mason. Yeah, I hope Andy's work's going well, because this is my next one.
Well, Andy didn't like the factory, so how did he like working on site?
This is the store which we're fitting out at the moment. We do a fair few stores in the state. We can probably get you working on putting some fillers in around the top of those units there, and we'll see what else we can find you to do. Keep you busy.
Let's hope he found shop fitting more inspiring than assembly work.
You've done this before, haven't you, Andy?
Just a few times, yeah.
Andy found the work unexciting. Maybe the hours would tempt him more.
Yeah. So what's the hours of work?
Well, the standard working weeks are from 7 o'clock in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon.
OK.
Usually towards the end of the year, when it gets a bit busier, we have to work from about 7 till about 5:30.
So what did Hamish make of Andy?
I think he's a nice guy. I'd have him working for me, no problems.
But what about Andy? Was carpentry in Australia a cut above the UK?
Great company, great people. I was hoping for a bit more of the traditional joinery side of things. The dollars you can earn aren't great at the moment for the work you're doing. I could actually earn more in the UK for doing a lot less, to be perfectly honest. So when it comes to working in Australia or the UK, I'm going to go 50-50 on this, and I think Jane will be a bit disappointed in that.
She certainly would. While Jane enjoyed the ride, Andy had time to reflect.
When I first arrived, I'd hoped that Jane and the kids would be going back without me, and I'd be sort of staying on, working in a job that I thought would suit it for me, and sort of laying down the stones to sort of build on.
Keep going.
I don't think that will happen. It wasn't for me, I don't think. But we'll move on from it and find something else.
Andy started finding it hard, so far away from his network of friends.
And being here for a week and not being able to venture down to the local pub and see my mates has been hard. And leaving that back home would probably be a massive killer, to be honest. It would be a right heart-wrencher, to be perfectly honest.
2 years on, Andy's made the move away from everything he knew. So how's his new job down under?
Good buddy, nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Right, come on then, show me what's on.
But the Masons moved without anything in place.
After a few weeks in Australia, after we got off playing in Brisbane, we no job, no accommodation, no house, not really an idea where we were going as such. Came across Gympie, got a job sort of there, working with a local builder. After sort of 6 weeks, that didn't really work out. So basically then it was just look through the papers as you would do normally in the internet, apply for a few jobs, and I picked up this job in Mark on the coast.
You get a great view working by the sea, but on the Sunshine Coast, temperatures can rise up to 40 degrees in the summer.
Working in the sun, in the sort of heat of summer is hard. It drains you, and obviously you've got to take a lot of fluid in to keep yourself going. But yeah, it's nice, and even on the cold days you appreciate those, because it's not really cold. So it's good, I like it.
Having left self-employment behind, how's Andy faring working for a boss?
Having to work for somebody who can basically tell you what to do at first was a bit awkward. But as time goes by, you look at the sun, you look at the beaches at the weekends. I've got no stress of tracing payments at the end of the week. My paperwork's cut down by 3/4 at least.
Andy's come round to the idea of being an employee, but how does the site foreman think Andy's fitting in?
Been working with Andy for a year now. He's pulled them together with all the boys, works as a team, so most important thing. So, no, good fella to work with.
He's adjusted to the Aussie way of life.
I turn up at a time when he wants me to and go home at the end of it, and that's basically it. I have none of the aggravation of what I had in the UK.
So Andy's earning around £52,000 a year, a little more than he used to earn in the UK.
Basically the wages for chippies over here vary from probably between 25 and 28 an hour. But then obviously you come onto the coast and the rates go up. It's 35, 40, 45, and then you're working for certain builders which obviously pay you more than that. And obviously there's a bonus incentive at the end of it, and certain amount of petrol and different bits and pieces are paid, which all help cut the cost down a bit. So yeah, but you just got to pick your builder and get in with the right guy who's paying decent money and basically do a good job, and you're pretty sound.
He hoped working in Australia would improve his work-life balance, but has it?
Spending more time with the kids was a major thing for me. In the UK, I was working all the hours that was sent and didn't see a lot of them. Where over here, I get up early and do the hours travel there and back. But we generally start 6:30ish when the sun's up early, and then I can sort of work through dinner. We're back to leaving at 2, so obviously I'm back home for 3. They're out of school at 3 o'clock, so I pick them up from school, take them to golf, and just generally spend a bit more time with them, especially weekends as well. So yeah, just generally got a lot more time together with the kids, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this.
Andy's not the only one playing with wood today. Jane and the kids are used to spending more time outdoors.
I've been playing golf for about 6 months, mainly because the boys play, and it was something they did a bit in the UK, but they kept moaning it was too cold. So when we came over here, they started playing again, and Andy plays. So it's something we can go out and do as a family together.
Jane's going to complement Andy's salary with some work of her own. She's buying into a beauty parlour, but it's not on her doorstep.
Just about to take ownership of a new business, so I will be back working again. Finished working in the UK just before we left.
and I've had about a year and a half out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into it. Abby will start school in 6 months, so it'll be even easier then. But I'll have about a 2-hour drive to the salon, so I'll be travelling up and down the highway at a different time than Andy.
The Masons have moved to a brand new area, so how have they found making new friends?
We're the first part of the family to move over here, so you do have to put yourself out and make friends and do things you're not comfortable with. So whether that's you get invited to barbecues and you think, oh, I don't want to go, but in order to you go because you might meet somebody there that you connect with and that is eventually a friend. So it's a case of we've had to really put ourselves out there and do different things and meet different people.
Gympie is a small town, but its slow pace of life suits the Masons perfectly.
We tend to find we like it here because it's not too commercial. We're not in the middle of a holiday resort and we've got everything we want to do, different things like that, so it's quite nice. Oh, how you doing?
It hasn't all been easy, and Andy recognises the pros and cons of making such a big move.
I'm not missing too much about the UK, to be honest. I think I got over that in my first 6 months. Went back, saw things hadn't changed, people still talking about the same things in the same position in the pub.
So what are the downsides of life down under?
The cost of food is really expensive. For anybody who likes a beer as well, that's quite expensive what it is. And also when you go out into your pubs and clubs in town, you're paying top price for your beer, which is it's an expensive night out at the end of the day. So there's that side to look into it. If you like your socialising, it'll cost you a bit of money.
There's also an emotional cost to moving so far from home.
It's just family that we don't really get to see a lot of and some really good friends that we don't see at the moment.
Back in 2006, Jane and Andy Mason took their 3 children to Adelaide to try to decide if they wanted to move to Australia.
We'd like to get out of the rat race and just have a bit easier life, a bit more outdoors.
Their hopes of finding their dream Aussie home didn't go to plan.
I think hate's a bit of a strong word. I just totally dislike it.
So I think UK houses are better built and are more homely.
And the job Andy tried just wasn't for him.
I feel like I'm on a production line at the moment, and that to me is not a good thing. I'd like a bit more variety in it.
While Jane struggled to work out her priorities for a new life.
Horses, dog, kids, then daddy. Andy's sort of bottom of my pecking order.
But there were more serious issues to consider before they voted either to move to Australia or stay in the UK.
Obviously with Andy's mum having MS, she has said that she won't come over.
Don't want the resentment factor for us leaving. I can see from their point of view.
The dilemma as to whether they could leave their family in the UK was a major decision. While they considered all the factors, Andy agreed to let Jane try at least one type of horse.
If you think that's a rocking horse, I'll show you one.
This is the world's biggest rocking horse at nearly 20 metres high, and it lives on the hills above Adelaide. Mounting this dude was as hard as deciding whether to bring her horse to Australia or not.
I like horses, but I don't like ladders.
Oh, I like these sort of horses. They don't need maintaining and looking after and eating grass and chewing money for nothing.
What was supposed to be a great day out only served to highlight their differences over Jane's horse Reggie.
I don't think Andy will be very happy if I'm still considering bringing the horse out. Me and Andy don't discuss it at the minute.
Without the support they'd had in the UK, it was more important than ever that they saw eye to eye.
If we do move out here, the biggest battle I think will be friends. Like if he's really annoyed me or if I've really annoyed him, we could end up being in the same 4 walls just with each other. So I think that'll be difficult.
Jane was nervous of the move, but as she finally joined Andy at the top of the rocking horse, she had a more urgent worry.
I'm not going to get down from here.
Why have you gone pale?
Because it's too high and I've got to go down. So if you don't like the ladder, don't come to the biggest rocking horse in the world.
After starting out with nothing, the Masons have got a lot sorted in 2 years. Back in 2006, they were far from making a decision, so the Masons tried out the Aussie lifestyle for the first time. With the kids as guinea pigs, Andy and Jane decided to check out the local parks. So how did cycling by the river compare to what they might do in a park back home?
I'm not convinced it's that much different than if we were to go down the embankment on a Sunday morning.
It looks peaceful, but these inner-city cycleways do get busy.
Busy?
I suppose it's the only open space around. Everybody out of town city are going to come here, aren't they, Sundays? It is surrounded, looking at that map, by parks, greenery, river. Obviously caters for everybody at the end of the day.
All this riding puts horses back in Jane's mind.
And what is strange is the fact that the horse trails are going to be all around in the parkland, whereas they'd be out of the way when we're in the UK.
They were never far from a play park.
I think the play parks are better here than at home.
So how do Aussie parks compare to the UK?
We don't tend to take them to play parks very often in the UK because you tend to find they're a bit vandalised and not everything works. So you'll get there and there'll be no swings. Just generally we don't tend to do it.
Outdoor dining was another big part of the Masons' Aussie dream, so they tried one of the public barbecues provided in parks all over Australia. Just press the button for free electric heat.
There's nowhere in the UK where you'd actually find a barbecue maintained in sort of parkland, really. It's nice to see.
So what was their verdict on lifestyle in Australia?
Which do we prefer, the UK or Australia? It's
Australia! After 2 years in Oz, how are the Masons getting into their new lifestyle? It looks like they've mastered the art of the classic Aussie barbecue.
This is slightly bigger than my barbecue in the UK. Here we go, blast off.
It seems they're doing just fine.
This is the first one we've done of this scale. We've had a few little ones before. We've been to people's houses where they've had the bigger ones than these, which have been good. And just amazing, you sort of get to meet so many different people along the way. And the Aussies, to be fair with themselves, are all a pretty friendly crowd, so they let you get on with it, and it's all good.
Gympie is a small enough community to meet new people easily.
Well, they're a very friendly crowd. They'll actually speak to you walking down the street, where in the UK people wouldn't really take the time out to find out where you were from, what you were doing. So yeah, it's worked out well.
If you're going to make new friends, make sure you know Aussie barbecue etiquette, or you may be going without.
You learn very quickly that when you're going to an Australian barbecue, you take your esky, which is your cool box with your beer in. You take a chair to sit on, and you're normally offered to take a dessert or a salad. And then you learn very quickly that barbecues start at about 2 or 3, and then everybody eats and then everybody drinks. So they tend to be more daylight barbecues as opposed to evening barbecues, which you'd have in the UK.
For Aidan and Callum, the Aussie lifestyle isn't all about sitting around chatting. They get to take full advantage of their land on their favourite toys. £155,000 has bought the Masons the kind of space they could never have afforded in the UK. But their large garden doesn't take care of itself. Luckily, they've got to know the locals.
Our next door neighbours here are brilliant, and they came over this week and cut the grass for us, so that was really helpful of them, so they're really good. And they tend to invite us to a lot of barbecues and introduce us to different people so that we can meet more people. So Rosa's really, she's like your mother hen. If you didn't have your mother over here, you want Rosa, so she's really good.
Neighbour Rosa and her husband have taken the Masons under their wing.
They're a really nice couple. We're really happy to have them as neighbours. We're thinking about putting a gateway in the fence so we don't have to crawl under when we visit. So, yeah, that'll be good.
So, with new friends on their doorstep, is there anything the Masons miss from back home?
The lifestyle's been what we wanted. that little bit where we miss with the pub scene and friends and different bits and pieces like that, which you would do. But as you can see, we're slowly gathering a friend base from sort of my side and Jane's as well. And the strange part about it is I actually play football with a couple of them. Didn't know their wives. Jane actually knows their wives, didn't know their husbands, and then you meet on days like this and you suddenly realise who's attached to who.
See, this time I've used barramundi. I do think about England sometimes. Like today, when we're inviting people for a barbecue, you think about the friends that you had at the last barbecue in the UK and how different they are. We can sit outside, and I think the last 2 barbecues we had in the UK before we left, we actually had tarpaulin tents across the whole of the garden, and it was hammering it down. Out here, it's middle of winter and it's 20-odd degrees, so no, I don't think about England that much. Just miss my family.
It's in the west. Yeah, north.
Back in 2006, to help them focus their minds ahead of their big decision, we showed the Masons some messages from friends and family back home. First up were Andy's mum and dad.
We don't want them to leave, but we have to qualify that by saying that it's got to be their decision.
So if they do go, we shall miss them terribly.
I won't want to see them go. And I know their dad won't. So, you know, we will be upset.
The things I'll miss about Jane are knowing that she's not just round the corner to drop in.
I think missing the family and friends is gonna affect her.
I think it will.
I think they've got to try it.
Yeah, you've got to give it a go.
If you don't do it, you can wait forever. You'll never know until you give it a go. And I think the time they have out there, they'll work it out whether it's right for them.
We can probably visit at some stage. But it's such a long, long way away, isn't it?
You've always got to think that maybe you won't see them again.
If they're happy that it's the right decision for themselves and for the children, our grandchildren, then we'll back them 100%.
Looking forward to seeing you when you come home. Please don't forget us. We'll miss you ever such a lot, Jane.
And Andy, but I'm sure you'll make the right decision.
And you'll decide what you want to do. And obviously, we're behind you 100%.
If you do decide to go,
we'll all really miss you. Hope to catch up with you soon. Bye.
we wish you all the luck if you are going to leave us. We wish you all the luck in the world, but we shall miss you all terribly. Because you're the only family we have back here now. I don't want them to go, but that's
very selfish for me, because I don't want to lose the grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. Dad, you got tears in your eyes.
Hearing such heartfelt messages really brought home to Andy the scale of the decision they had to make.
When you're looking at such a vast move in life, people are obviously going to give you the blessing, as the saying goes, but at the back of the mind there's always something else they want to say.
There's quite a lot more to be said from both sets of parents, neither of which want us to go.
It's possibly the only grandkids I'll ever have.
Yeah,
and
it's the only grandkids, but it's not the only family.
No, but it's the only grandkids I'll ever see. They've obviously got other parts of the family, so I can see from their point of view they don't really want us to go.
The Masons have now lived away from family and friends for 18 months, so how will they feel when they see some brand new messages from back in the UK? Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Hi, you upside down family. Hope you're all keeping well.
Hello, Jane and Andy and the children.
Well, on the day they left, Bridge and myself travelled up to Nottingham, because this is where they were leaving from.
I'll never forget that day. Very, very sad. And we were all choked, crying and hugging and what have you. Because it's such a long way for them to go away from us. We'd known that they were going, and you just sort of
put it off and think the day's never going to come, and then all of a sudden it's here and they've gone, and you just wonder what lies ahead for them, really.
I just miss Andy. Full stop. I miss seeing him, miss talking to him, putting my arm round him occasionally.
You don't have the everyday contact with them and seeing the children growing up. That's really the most. They're all getting
Australian accents.
And they're turning into little characters of themselves.
Yeah, so
And that's what we miss. Like the one we got now, the little one, Ethan. He's a right little character. We've missed that in
Abby.
Them growing up and Abby growing up, because she is a little princess, we call her.
They left a big hole in our lives because they're the only grandchildren we'll ever have. Definitely we miss them and wish they hadn't gone. They're a part of our life, and as we said, it's such a long way away from us, a long way away. It's not as if you can jump on the bus and go there or get in the car and go and see them.
I think the only problem that we had was last year Charles wasn't very well, and it was...
Do I ring them up and let them know that he's not very well?
And what is the matter with him, and know that they would panic over there, or Jane would panic.
And wonder, should I come home?
It's very nice, I think, at the very end of when we speak to him on a Sunday, and he usually says, "Love you loads." That's not the sort of thing Andy would have said one-to-one if we were here. He wouldn't express himself quite that way. And whether he feels more comfortable with doing it 12,000 miles away, I don't know, but he actually expresses his wishes. "Love you, Mum."
Hopefully we're going over to see them in a couple of months' time, which we're very much looking forward to. Except I'm dreading the journey.
I think we both accept that if we perhaps want to see our children and grandchildren, this is what we're going to have to do. Back to England, certainly in the near future anyway.
It will be absolutely wonderful to see them all again. It will. There'll be lots of tears, I think.
We're looking forward to seeing you again
soon. Bye for now.
So all we can really say is we love you loads, we're missing you, and we hope to see you soon.
Yes.
See you soon, love you all.
Bye.
Bye.
It is more difficult seeing them this time than the first time, just because I feel as though you've got more of a bond. I've got more of a bond now with them. I never have. And you just appreciate the fact that they're so far away.
It was hard to watch it, I've got to admit, but it doesn't change my desire to be out here. I mean, they can travel to us, although it will be a bit of a trek for my mum and different bits and pieces, but also we can go back.
There's one thing that every immigrant dreads. Having elderly parents back in the UK can cause real worries.
Last year I got a call off my mum, and I phoned her and found out that my dad had had a stroke. Spoke to a couple of friends and said, "What do I do?" And they said, "What does your gut tell you to do?" And I said, "Get on standby," which I did.
Jane's dad fortunately recovered and she didn't have to return. Many airlines offer standby places on flights, but they're not cheap, so these decisions are always very difficult to make.
It's hard to think that you could be on that flight and you could not get home in time. And everybody who ever emigrates and lives here dreads the call. But that's just I suppose that's one of the downsides of living so far away. You just have to accept that at some point with parents getting older, that is going to happen. You just hope that it doesn't.
When the Mason family had a trial week in Adelaide in 2006, not everything went according to plan. The properties didn't offer what they wanted at a price they could afford.
I think hate's a bit of a strong word. I just totally dislike it.
And Andy's job just wasn't challenging enough.
I feel like I'm on a production line at the moment. It's a bad thing from our point of view because I'll just be doing roughly the same thing for the day, and that to me is not a good thing. I'd like a bit more variety in it.
After a week down under, did they vote for the UK or Australia?
So the vote will be whether we like to live in England or Australia.
However, when it came to their final vote, it wasn't a unanimous decision.
Undecided! Decided.
The Masons have been in Australia for 18 months and have worked hard to forge a new life down under. They bought a large property for a great price, but it's not quite the dream home yet.
And it gets finished in sort of winter time, so that's sort of missed out for this section. It might get a bit done on a night.
And have they found the stress of being away from their family just too hard to handle?
It is more difficult seeing them this time, just because I've got more of a bond now with them. I never have.
It's time to discover whether the Masons made the right choice after all.
We've been in Australia now 2 years, and the final verdict of whether we go home or stay here is... Australia!
England.
Why England, Callum? Because why?
Grandma's there.
Grandma's there. Final verdict would be Australia. Definitely for me.
Yeah, definitely for me. Working environment, better weather, but overall, better atmosphere. It's great.
Yeah, we would love it here. Better weather and more family time together.
The Masons have made a new life for themselves in Queensland, and it looks like the kids will grow up as little Australians, whether they like it or not. Join us again next time when we catch up with another family on Wanted Down Under Revisited.
A couple of great properties here at home. The best of Homes Under the Hammer follows a BBC News summary, and then making a big thank you to Mum. It's Cash in the Attic at 11:30 Thursday morning here on BBC One.